Damn. Okay, welcome back. We're going to get into this adventure in the Nethering. Our two plucky adventurers, Junette D'Elfin and her valet, Bando. In a previous episode, we went through the call to adventure, which we learned the quest, which in this case we have to go into an old temple, and where there's some sort of undead skeletal creature that guards this, which the king needs as a panacea to cure what ails him. And so Junette has answered the call to adventure, and she's made her way to the dungeon with Bando following along. We've learned that the Winter Scourge, this undead guardian of the dungeon, uses goblin squires to man the battlements, so to speak. They approach the dungeon where they need to get a leg on. There's a deadline. The king will die. We best get to it. What I've done is I've rolled up the start and laid out the tiles for the entry tile. So the first thing we do is roll the dice to determine what the first part of the dungeon looks like, and I rolled a 7, which gives us this stairway down to a 20 by 30 room with 4 corridors three corridors that come off at 4. A fourth way out is back up the stairs. I've also rolled that there are wall torches. So while Junette is a half-elf fighter, and we'll see very well, thank you very much, in the dark, Bando would struggle, despite his excellent perception, to see in the dark. So we'll now we are entering the first district of the dungeon. There are 3 districts, and you've got to make it through the first to get to the second, and then through the second to get to the third, and then the third is where we will hopefully be victorious in our quest. So we're going to enter the first district of the dungeon, which is called the Barbican district. Now, the Barbican was the fortified outside of a castle that around the gate, which is a weak point in a castle. So we've tried to use castle terminology for these districts. Once we get through the Barbican, we'll get to the inner ward, and if you know your castles, that's where the common folk might take residence or respite in a castle. And then the outer ward, so the Barbican, then the outer ward, and then the inner ward is where the rulers of the castle inhabit. So we're going to enter the Barbican now with Junette the fighter, and Bando is a rogue, a halfling rogue. He's not all that happy that he's been sent along with his mistress into this dark dungeon. It's he's a grandfather with grandchildren. He should be sunning himself by a stream while he fishes, instead of heading down into where the dead walk. But anyway, such is society. So we've just completed the page 86 and 87 of the book, which is the descent into the underworld. So now our intrepid adventurers will step into this first tile of the dungeon. Now that you'll see these tiles. These are actually photographs of actual models made by Bud, who quite a deft hand at making things. The polystyrene little raised walls around the outside, and the flagstones very attractive. And we've made a system up of room tiles, which are of various sizes and so forth, with some with walls and some without, so that you can make any shaped room that the Nethering will present to you. And then we have a series of corridor tiles, which are integral to the Nethering and how you would explore a dungeon, and we'll get there pretty quickly. So let's get out of there and back into here. The other thing you'll notice up here is this thing. So these are our two adventurers with their health, their armor class, and speed. But this one we just use it to store some of the running tallies that you keep in the Nethering. The first one is threat level, which is a measure of how alert the denizens of this dungeon are to our intrusion. The other one is delay level, which is a bit of an odd thing that we've got going, which tries to mimic the sense of urgency in a dungeon. The higher that number gets, the more quickly we should run. The less dallying we should do, for reasons that will become apparent near the end of the game. And the threat level starts at 1, can't be less than 1, and it will go up as we start making sounds and the murdering innocent goblin folk and so forth. And it affects how often we will stumble across denizens in the dungeon. So let's move forward. So the very first thing we're going to do is move into this down these stairs and into this space. So with any movement through an open space in the Nethering, we'll make an encounter roll. So firstly, what we do is we move into the tile. So we'll move. There's 10 feet, 20 feet. We might move aside, and while he is intrepid, Bando is not the leader of this. We'll get the Junette and we'll just get her to poke her head around the corner there. So we've moved into the space. So we'll roll an encounter roll, which is just a d20 roll. Oh my god! And we rolled 1. So the threat level is 1. We've rolled a 1. That means we've had an encounter. Yes, something stirs in the corridor. There's an encounter. I've written these macros, and they're absolutely disgraceful. They give the wrong information. So let's look at the dice when we do this. So we've rolled that something's happened. That something has been noticed, or something has noticed us. So what do we do next? Well, we go to the corridor encounter. Unless you're banging a drum, or your 7 dwarf party is singing on the way to the dungeon, you always assume that the characters are being as stealthy as they can. So we'll roll stealth for both of them, both Junette and Bando. The stealth DC, because there are torches, we need a DC of 15 to be stealthy. So yeah, that's correct. And well, that worked well. I'll just try that one more time because I made these terrible macros. But anyway, we know what the dice roll is. 12 unsuccessful. So if one of the party is not stealthy, well, then the whole party is not stealthy. So there's no need to roll for Bando. So it's only okay. So we're not there yet. We will have Junette roll her perception, though. Let's now she only needs a DC of 10 because it's torchlit and she's got intravision anyway. So that's a 20. So a successful perception. Actually, that's better than having missed the stealth. So we have a successful perception. The adventurers can see elements of the encounter before it commences. They have time to assess the situation and prepare for it. See page 96 for that. So if we, just before we go, fail stealth, if either the adventurer fails at stealth, they'll have no special advantage entering. Okay, so let's go. Now, the encounter that we get is based on our perception, pass or fail. We succeeded our perception, so we're going to get encounters that are less like ambushes. So let's go have a look at that. So we're on the perception success encounter table, which requires a D100. So let's fire that up. That's a 13. So that is the adventurers see a denizen writhing on the ground. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier. You get to see your head. So here is a denizen writhing on the ground. That's on page 99, combat encounter number 5. Okay, so denizen writhing on the ground. We get a little tiny piece of text. It's mostly up to our imagination to fill in the blanks, and then we'll get to decide what we want to do about what we see. A denizen writhes on the ground 30 or 40 feet ahead, groaning in agony. Okay, so the text there said 30 or 40, and in my book here it has a little underline under the or. So that's just a 50-50 chance whether it's 30 feet or 40 feet. So it's just a roll of the dice. High is the big number, and low is the smaller number. Has to be 10 in the middle, which is actually low. 11 would be high. So it's 30 feet away. So what are we? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, okay. So let's just put him writhing on the ground. And there's probably a symbol in here for that. Oh, look at that. There we go. He may not have arrows in his back, but it's a symbol. It's a symbol. Okay. So the adventurers get no stealth advantage in this encounter. The adventurers may advance and examine it, otherwise they must backtrack. If you decide to advance, roll d20 to discover what it is. Okay. So we do have to move. So we'll move up towards the creature. We might give it a bit of room, and Bando an extra bit of room. And they're ready. They're adventurers. They're in a dungeon. They have their sword at hand and their crossbow loaded, and which I think we might just let's just settle on that. So Junette again is a fighter, if I remember. Yes, a level 1 fighter. Oh, well armored. I think she's got a chain shirt on, and she's a dual-handed short swordswoman, and she's but she might keep them scabbarded for now, and we'll have her heft out her light crossbow, slide a little bolt into it, and be on the alert. Bando, I think, is carries one of the D'Elfin family short swords, I guess, and has his own little dagger that he's had since he was a young boy, I guess. Oh, look at that! A bit of a sneak attacker as well too. So he might be a little sneaky, and let's pop him round to the side. Being a rogue, I'm not very good at playing rogues. I typically put the dagger between the teeth and pull out a two-handed sword and charge in the battle when I'm a rogue, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so we've come close enough to examine. We're 5 feet away from the creature, or 10 feet. I don't know how you measure that. Well, let's see how the Nethering, not the Nethering, roll 20. This splendid tool that I'm using to present this exercise. So let's just fire that up. Bingo, bongo, yes. Well done. 10 feet. So Roll20 calls it 10 feet. Good on Roll20. So we're going to roll a d20 and find out who's writhing on the ground. 10. The denizen dies alone right before the adventurers. It's very odd. Return to dungeon crawling on page 94. Okay, so who knows? It's one of the mysteries of this dungeon so far that this creature, this inhabitant of the dungeon has just died before our very eyes. We might examine it, but while we're here, we actually we get to see a bit of the fog of war is removed, and we get to see a little further down the dungeon. So I'm just going to roll the dice, or am I going? I might just. Okay, so there's a table in the book which we roll to see which one of the corridor tiles comes out. This is a T-junction, obviously. You wander down through here or turn left or right. But I'm just going to use this random side on it. Okay, so that's a dead end. There's a wall across there. Pop that there. So this dungeon ends very abruptly in this direction. So again, perhaps he crawled away to die in this corner after being attacked. We might investigate a little closer. Yeah, I might just stay back there. You go have a look there. Okay, so there's no real rules for what I'm about to do. So I might just roll a dice, why not, and see if let's make it a DC 15 on an investigation. She's not particularly good at it. My dump stat is intelligence, so that's not favourable. Bando, it's a dead goblin. Nice work, Junette. Okay, now we might press on, shall we, Bando? Indeed, let's press on. So we can go left to right or exit the dungeon. So that was a little introductory encounter, somewhat in the very first room of the Nethering. So now we're going to go dungeon crawling. I might go right because there's more blank space on the right with which to make our map. I might just hide those incredibly mysterious bed doors. Use them later. Oh, goodness me. Junette's going to have a peek around the corner. This is a strategy I learned from Buddha. Always peek around the corner first. So I'm going to go back to the dungeon crawl on page 94. And so what happens is we'll have a peek both ways. Because we'll get to see in the torchlight. I think it's 30 feet. That's the way the game, the Nethering, is built anyway. So we'll actually no, we'll get to see. We'll see until there's a bend. Let's play the rules as they're written. So I'm going to move these tokens up. I'm going to copy them. And do a multi-side, not by pressing that. I've put it on the token layer, so I'll send it back to the map layer, and we got there eventually. So random, T-junction, okay. Look, we just cheat with the the map border's just up there. If I have that T-chunk going up there, we're just going to go off the corner of the board. So we'll just orientate these dungeon tiles the way we feel like. So there'll be another one over on the other side, multi-sided random side, and again, look at this symmetry. Oops, don't do that. Symmetry. It's a beautiful thing. Let's oh, look at that. Oh, that's just beautiful. That stuff out. What are you doing to me? My friend. Alright, you go over there. Oh, there's my village. My village. Righto, so that's our map, and well, we've already walked all the way over to this side of the room. Oh no, hang on, I said that we could see until there's a bend. Okay, oh well, that one go off the page. We'll just pick a playing tile. So this is the basic thing. When we're here, there's torches down all the corridors, and we can see until the corridor ends. So we lay out the tiles that we can see from our vantage point where we're standing, and I'm going to just roll again because look, yes, there are more than 2 tiles in the whole system, and there we go. That one's going to go up there. Now I could reorganize, and maybe I should. Let's. I always start the dungeons right up the top, and sometimes it. We can move each square is 5 feet. The party can move 25 feet because Bando is a little short-legged halfling. Well, he's actually a half halfling. He's half. His mother was halfling, and his father was a halfling. So he's half halfling and half halfling. So he's a half halfling. He's short. Okay, so Junette, out of courtesy, will only move 25 feet as well too. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20. Let's just go that far, and Bando will bravely take up the rear. He might put himself in a position where he can get some action. He can throw a dagger. You know, he's not without skills. Okay, so we've entered the tile. We made our move. We can now reveal another tile. So let's just pop back into here. Copy that and down to there. We can't see any further up in that direction. If you can see my cursor, but we can look around this corner and see down there. So let's do a random side. And if it's another T junction, keep rolling until I find the decor that I prefer. There we go. There are more tiles in this in the list. Maybe I'll start rolling off the physical table soon rather than. There's a reason why this is happening. I won't explain it to you unless we get bored later on. My computer freezes or something. In which case the recording will freeze. Anyway, so we'll head back to interesting space here. Okay, so we've revealed all that they can see. So now we make the encounter roll. So the threat level is 1. So if we roll a 1, and one only, we'll have an encounter. 9. Okay, so look, my macro is telling lies. I'm a very good programmer. Okay, so there's no encounter. We move on. Carefully we go. So let's go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm a good whistler too. Don't whistle in the dungeons. It's not conducive to longevity. Okay, so we've moved. We haven't got to the corner yet. We can't do the Bud special peek round the corner. So we'll just roll for encounter again. 1 and 1 only, because the threat level is only 110. Okay, okay. So you can tell it's 1 out of 20 chance to get a encounter. We happen to get one first go, but it's it's not chock packed full of denizens. However, once that threat level starts to rise, and once it rises more. It's exponential. It gets peak hour in the dungeon. Well, not peak hour. It's the denizens are alert to us and they're out looking for us. So that's what happens. Okay, next round. So we'll part of the move. We'll just move to the corner and have a peek. Bando's feeling cocky now. He's going to peek around the other way so that we can do a quick background. And I'll quickly pop that up there. And this is your last chance, random side. Give me a T. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'll tell you what that's about soon, because we'll do the other one down the other way where Junette's looking. Okay. Okay, let's last chance random side. Okay. Lots of dead ends. And actually, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pop that round there because because you want the map to fit on the table, don't you? This is a tabletop game too. These actual physical pieces that I'm using digitally, the photographs of them are actually a great set of tiles that we play on the desktop with miniatures. It's great fun. And those tables, and I'm just going to cheat and make room here. Cheating is an honourable part of the Nethering. It's how you make the game work. You don't just suffer the dice. You suffer the dice if you want. You don't cheat on, getting wounded or whatever, but you cheat on the things that don't matter quite so much. Like the layout of the dungeon. I said I was going to come back to these, and here I am. These are doors, wooden doors, seen from above, and these are doorways. Actually, I might put these up in. Might move them up to the token layer. So we're done there. That's a dead end. Yeah, they should see another tile further here. So multi-sided, random side. Okay, while we're at it, that's probably... I'm running out of board there. Okay, so we'll just pop that around there like that. Okay, these are... okay, back to the token layer, and okay, there are doors there. They should quite fill the space. Well, if any luck, I can do that. But now I've got to remember whether it's Shift. I think it's Alt. Look at that. What a memory. Alright, if you want to hang out there, that's fine by me. One on the other side. So that's a pair of doors there. Okay. Okay, I'll hold the Alt key down. There we go. Pair of doors. And let's say you can't see past 2 because I'm sick of laying out tiles. It gets a little smoky and dingy past that spot there. Okay, so we've moved into our tile. We haven't finished our move though, so we might do that now. They've moved 5, and they decide not to go up the dead end. I'll continue down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's as far as they get because they're moving 25. 5, 10, 15, 20. Not likely. Okay, so they finished their move. So now we make an encounter roll. Threat level is 1. Okay, 14. Now you you add 1 to the threat level for every door that you encounter, whether you open them or not. Okay, it's a measure of how the game's going. So I'm going to go to the adventure stats here, and I'm going to you can do maths in here. There's 2 doors, so 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, so rising threat level. So you understand the implications of that is that threat level is 3. So when we're rolling for encounters now, it's 3 or below. So it's getting more busy in the dungeon now that we're getting into inhabited parts of the dungeon. There was no encounter. That's the end of our turn. All right, so Junette. Bando. Yes, mistress. You're poor, aren't you? Aye. Then you know a little bit about burglary, I would think. Well, I'm offended, but yes. Would you mind seeing if that door is unlocked, and if it isn't, then making it so? Very well, mistress. The Bando heads down. I'm going to have a look at that door there. Okay, so off to page 79. For the doors. Oh, the link doesn't work. Okay. Well, down the bottom of every page there are some links to key parts of the thing. Oh, that's why, because the link was wrong. It's page 122. Okay. Well, I haven't read this since I've written it, but you listeners, I presume, are new to the game, so I'll read this. Dungeon doors are always thick, heavy wood, 5 feet wide, and difficult to listen through. Below are some things that can be done at the door. If the adventurers ignore the door or enter the room and then exit, they can continue dungeon crawling. If they manage to open the door below, we can enter the chamber. Okay, so first of all, we've got some new rules for this, which I've got an old version of the document, but the game was evolving until we actually publish it, if that should ever be that happy day. So we're just going to roll just a straight d20 and find out what's happening with this door. The door is unlocked. Okay. Now we could try and do a little bit of listening or percept, listening to the door. So the door is closed, but it's unlocked at the moment. So and why wouldn't we try to do that? So let's get Bando's perception up and give it a crack. It's a DC 15 to listen through the door, written right there in the book. He's a cunning listener. 18. Oh, okay. Well, I might read the section then. To listen for activity in the chamber beyond the door, roll perception against the DC for listening in the above table. If they succeed, the adventurers hear something behind the door, and we'll add 2 to chamber initiative. Okay, there's a little thing which is a part of the Nethering. It's because we don't know what's happening behind there, but we want to sort of preempt the initiative roll because all sorts of things are happening. We have this chamber initiative idea. It's just a way of not modifying initiative before we actually make the rolls. We can try to open the door, and in our case, I'll read from the section. The door is unlocked or ajar. The adventurers can sneak or barge straight into the room. See entering the chamber below. Okay, so there's 2 ways to enter a chamber. There's sneaking in. If the door was unlocked, ajar, lockpicked or similar, the adventurers can attempt to sneak into the room, rolling against the standard DC. Oh, there's another part of the Nethering, a standard DC. It's just a number. At the moment, we're just going to set it at 15 for everything. So standard DC just means DC 15. But we might also make it so that it changes through the game. But it's just a way of having cutting down the number of tables to figure out what a DC might be in this random dungeon. So we can either sneak in or we can barge in. If the adventurers have opened the door through any means, they can barge into the room. Barging includes walking, swaggering, sauntering, sashaying, and asking if this is the right room for an argument. Anything other than sneaking. So we either sneak in or barge in. We're sneaky. Sneaky's good. Sneaky keeps that threat level down. If we were a pair of half-orc barbarians with great swords, we might consider barging. But we're refined lady and her manservant will sneak. Okay, so now we determine the chamber initiative. Initiative is rolled a little differently when entering a chamber, and it is used to determine something called chamber initiative. Roll initiative as follows. Roll initiative as if the enemy are denizens, but if we will roll initiative for the denizen. I wonder if my wonderful table, I'm going to... My macros used to work. They used to be golden things of glory. Shift, double click. Oh, that's right. It's not associated with a token. So we go to hello, governance square, character sheet. Right, initiative. So 12. Now we didn't. We're sneaking in. Okay, we have to roll sneak. Oh, well, Bando will roll versus DC 15 on his sneaky pants roll. Come on, Bando. Look at that. +5 stealth. Bando, you idiot. Okay, so my rules say that if you fail stealth, they get the goblin squires. Well, we don't know who's going to be in this room, but we're just assuming that the rules just use their initiative just for the sake of it. It's not over yet, though. Now, we successfully listened at the door, so Bando will... let's roll his initiative. He's the one popping into the room. And he gets to add 2 as well, which is fortunate for him because that means he's got 15. That's just the first one through the door gets to add all those things. Any other members in the party just roll straight initiatives. Let's see how Mistress Junette... Oh my goodness. Because the adventurers, rather than the whoever's in this room have the chamber initiative. Have the initiative. They have what's called the chamber initiative. Well, I might as well read this part, which is why it was written, I guess. Chamber initiative is just a designation to indicate which side has the higher initiative at the start of an encounter in the chamber. If the enemy has a higher initiative than any adventurer, then the enemy have the chamber initiative. Otherwise, the adventurers have the chamber initiative, even if the enemy equals the adventurer's highest initiative. Okay. It's not a big deal. It's just a little different. There's reasons. Okay. Page 126. Chambers. Now, any of you who have read anything about the Nethering before know that Bud and I played this game, and Bud and I, without fail, roll a stable as the first room. Now, there is talk of removing stable from the list of chambers in the Nethering because it becomes frustrating to fight cows every time. Steeds. The first time you enter a dungeon. It can be quite frustrating. However, we haven't done that. We've changed the method of rolling for the first room to make it less likely that there will be a stable. It's the closest room to the mouth of the dungeon. But where else would you keep your animals? Anyway, roll a d4 and we'll enter this chamber. We might wrap it up after this. We've got a running time currently of almost an hour. Well, we might. I think a chamber takes a little while to play. Well, we'll see how it goes. We might be able to pause it, or I could just shut up and get on with it. That might make things go faster. All right, let's go. So we need to determine which room it is. Now there are different. Each district has different rooms in it. I'm going to roll a d4 to find out which Barbican district room this is. I can never read a d4. That's a 1. Okay. We have a stable. Alright, page 130. Well, it wouldn't be the Nethering if we didn't have a stable. It's tradition. Okay, so I've gone to the stable or /kennels page. It's where if you're a goblin, you keep your wargs. If you're a marauding band of marauders, you keep your horses. Animals associated with the thing, not cats. Definitely not cats. Okay, so I am going to read from the tome of the Nethering about stables and cows. These are short, so it doesn't, it's up to your imagination. You've got to fill in the blanks with your imagination. Stables. A large, airy room with stalls to house the steeds or hounds of the denizens. I'll keep reading. Follow the sections below in sequence to play out the scene in the chamber. If you need some help positioning things, make a placement roll with this attractive diagram. If you have previously entered the chamber, well, we haven't, we'll skip this bit. Okay, the setting. Okay, so we will now roll up parts of the and build this room on the fly as we enter it. I'm doing hand gestures. I hope you're enjoying them. Roll d20 for the width and then for the length of the room, and so we'll do that. And the shortest length, I rolled a 14 and a 3. So in this case, that will be a 30 by 20, so 20 by 30 room. And then we get to see if there are any other doors, I believe. Not so much. Now, there is a room feature as well, so we'll roll d20 for that. So there's an 8. There are 10 foot by 10 foot stalls line one entire wall 4 feet high on the left side or right. I don't care. That's left. 10 foot by 10. I'm just going to draw them on just to get that game moving along. And one of the other things that we see when we walk in is the chamber prize. Okay, so this is something that's worth, or may not be worth, to claim once the room is yours. So with the adventurer's first glance in the room, they see something that captures their attention. We'll roll a dice. 17. Frustrate the enemy. There are items on a table by the door beside the adventurers. They are worthless to the adventurer, but precious to the enemy. The enemy would waste time looking for them. This would increase the threat level by 1, but subtract 3 from delay level. If we hid them, it would increase threat level, but it would subtract 3 from delay level, so the urgency would drop. The denizens are preoccupied, and they're not out searching for us. They're looking for whatever these missing items were. It's just some trinkets. I don't know. There might be something. Pants. Really? That's the idea of trinkets, is it? Pedrov and Pro Bono are heavily into pieces of wood and statues of topless ladies. I'll go with a statuette of a young lady. Move on. Chamber activity. Roll d20 plus 3 if the adventurers have chamber initiative. Hey, hang on. We have chamber initiative. Well, add 3. I will. Here we go. D20. That's a 10. We'll add a 3 to that. That's a 13. Chamber activity. Daddy, I want a pony. I'm reading from the book. A single denizen is caring for the beasts. Roll on the random 4-legged monster table for the adventurers level on page 229. There's one denizen, and there are random 4-legged monsters. This is where Bud rolled a cat. Random level 1 monsters, 4-legged, page 234. Okay, let's see if we can do anything other than rolling for cats. 6. Boars. Okay, so the goblins, maybe they these are food rather than riding boars. Although wargs are wolves, aren't they? They could ride boars. Why wouldn't they ride boars? I'd ride a boar if I could ride a boar. Oh, look at that. An Etruscan boar. Oh, Celtic or something. That'll do. There are 2. This goblin who applied for a job, and they said, "Do you like murdering?" "No." "Do you like plundering?" He said, "No." "Do you like animals?" "Oh yes, rather." "Well, you can work in this stable." "Perfect. That's why I'm the Goblin King." Or I'm just going to grab, actually, it's straight out of the monster manual. I know anything about anything. So, the SRD. The Nethering is all SRD. Points 11, armor class. Gee, they're a bit, I bet you they're fast too. What's their speed? 40 feet! That's why they get the big bucks. There's quantity 1. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And their tactical style is melee, so that's another Nethering little bit. And they've got a morale of 9, which is good to know. We brought back the old morale score from ancient D&D, pre-apocalypse D&D. Okay, so I've just gone back to the page. This is all in a PDF, so all the pages are linked, and you click on a page number and it takes you there. Very handy. And using the back key and Acrobat Reader is handy as well. So, roll on the table below for placement of the creatures inside. 3. The enemy is in 2 groups. Make the 2 placement rolls, 1 for each group. Okay, so the goblin is not necessarily, or the goblin squire is not necessarily with the biblically with the with the ball. He may be elsewhere, so I'm going to roll a placement roll of 60. Ooh, he's just around the corner. And for the ball, where's the ball? That's a 9, right in the middle of the room. We might call that the middle of the room. In a stall, with, okay, if you previously entered the chamber, no we haven't. Okay, we're up to their placement. Chamber initiative. If the adventurers have chamber initiative, the adventurers can retreat, or they can make their move into the chamber and perform an action. Once the adventurers complete their round, roll on the enemy gambit table below, and then proceed with the enemy's round and the rest of the encounter as usual. See page 190. Okay, so this is the step we always forget. There could be a little twist, and so we have the enemy gambit once we do our first action, because we have the initiative. Make a note to roll the enemy's gambit. Bando sneaking and failing to get through the door, and you go, whoops a daisy, there's a goblin there. Junette has the higher initiative, so she's gonna go kapow. Use her 2 swords. She's gonna let her mini crossbow dangle from her baldric and have a crack at this goblin with her 2 swords. Now we'll see if my macro works here. I've got a short sword right and a short sword left. Now she has taken the 2-handed fighting skill, I believe. That's probably a good idea to just have a look and see what we got up our sleeve. Fighting style 2-handed weapon. When you engage in 2-handed weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second round, which is cool. And second wind, which I'll never remember to use, but should come in handy. Okay, she goes at it. Have at it, son. 13 versus a 14. That's a miss. So she goes splash with the left hand, and oh, dear me, it's not a good day to be a goblin squire, I think. So that's a critical roll, and I think the 10 points should staple him to the wall. That's 1 dead goblin up the sleeve. Bando, he'll wait right there and see what happens. He readies himself. I think that's an action he can do, and then he can do something special. So that's 1 dead goblin. So let's just roll this enemy gambit. If it had something to do with the denizen, I'll ignore it. It's too late. But if the ball can do something on this enemy gambit table, we'll play that out. Okay, so roll a d20 for the enemy gambit. We got a 16. Oh dear. This is the height of hilarity. 11 to 20. We rolled a 16. You should have checked for traps. The adventurers have trodden in poo. Anyway, so Goodo, that boar is still active. We should find out what happens. Let's go to page 190 and hoe into this boar. It's the boar's turn. We shall go. We have we'll find its disposition. So that's a bit of a roll for a denizens and predators. It's a 2d6. we can roll one of them. I reckon that's one of those. That's an 8. An 8. So here we have an 8. It's hostile, okay, and it would like to make a balanced attack. Balanced attack. The enemy makes a considered attack, ensuring it does not leave itself open to counterattack. Enemy tactical style melee. If disengaged, they'll move to engage and make a melee attack. Okay, so it's going to attack. Now it can move 40 feet. I shall avenge you, my stablemate. Little P comes up and is going to try and gore Junette D'Elfin. So let's see what the boar's got. Okay, so it's got a tusk. Right here. File and ready. 16. I think. Relentless. If the ball takes 7 damage or less. Yeah. 16. Now that is a hit, I believe. I'm taking that as a 4. That's a 7. Now that's the end. On following stance, the enemy will continue to fight on in this stance. Okay, so this is a demonstration of combat. The creatures and denizens and villains have tactical styles, and they also have combat maneuvers that they make. And if their morale is triggered, then they will change combat maneuvers. So next turn. 2 Swords Delphin's going to get Ho into the boar, but she's going to do a quick maneuver, do a little hop and a twist over the slain goblin. Well, no, it's hanging from the from the wall, and Bando will move into a more distant position, but with a good sight at for his dagger as well. So. Well, actually, it's Junette's go, so he doesn't do that. But he'll, through the power of telepathy between mistress and manservant, she understood that that's what he was going to do. Righto, let's give Junette some. This worked last time? I think it did. This is why you dual win. You get 2 rolls. That's a hit. Balls, I'm got 11. That's right. Good. 6. Okay. Bando will now have his own crack. Actually, Junette might use the rest of her movement to, and Bando will fire when ready with his dagger. Bando, you magnificent bastard. Farewell, little piggy. Looks like it's bacon for dinner tonight. Right, okay, that's one successful combat encounter in a room. I'm appalled that a boar had to die for our entertainment, but it's all in the in a good cause. I believe that is the encounter completed. We don't think there's any more action happening from the other side, that's for sure. But okay, so back to the chamber. We've gone through that. We're up to afterwards in the stable. Chamber prize. If the adventurers command the chamber at the end of the encounter, they may claim the chamber prize. Well, I don't want the nudie statue. It's got a golden prints all over it. Info. If the chamber prize includes info, well, it doesn't, so let's skip that. Chamber XP. In addition to any XP gained for dealing with the monsters, the adventurers gain XP for dealing with the room. Okay, well, I believe the boar was 50 XP. It's always fascinating listening to people talk about XP in Dungeons and Dragons. You could listen all night, couldn't you? Yeah, 50 XP. The goblin was 15. That's 65. And we get an extra 30 for commanding the room at the end of it. So yeah, that'll be 95 if I can do maths. So we have XP 95. Let's so what we'll do is we'll make this the last one experience points. Maybe we should exhaustion experience. There we go. Settings. Okay, so now we can search the chamber. Well, I don't really care. And in honour of Bud, I'll search the room, and let's move into the room to search it. Let's close the door. The adventurers may search any defeated denizens or human enemies, as well as the chamber for plunder. Roll on the personal treasure table. 301 for each body searched. In honour of Bud, we'll roll for treasure. This can be Bando. The Junette's upper class. She's not going to go scurrying through blood-soaked clothes to find a piece of copper coin or something. 10. The enemy is broke and dead. Kind of sad. Or dead broke. Kind of funny. Nothing on the poor goblin squire, but we'll have a bit of a squiz around the chamber, see if there's anything there. There's some rope. Now, I'll take the rope. No, I'll have the rope. I'll carry it for you. Yes, you will. Good then. Well, fine. You're welcome. My pleasure. Now, we command this room. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of people coming to and from the stables, so we could hide here. If the adventurers like, they can attempt to hide in the chamber for a round. That reduces the threat. That's a way of reducing the threat level. Or we could have a short rest. But I think Junette took a spill, didn't she? There's no healers in the party. But I think I think we can take a chance that she'll be able to survive the next combat encounter, and then we'll have a short rest then. Doors in the room can be opened with no fuss, and they lead to the corridors on page 94, dungeon crawl. So that's back to dungeon crawling. And so that's a bit of a demonstration of the Nethering in action as a dungeon crawl. It's a fairly expansive, interesting, looking dungeon if you're into that sort of thing. Had one strange encounter. We might just name a few things so that we don't forget for next time. It's nice to have a record of your encounters and so forth. If you want to go looking back over old glory, it's the American flag, isn't it? Anyway. We did some Corridor trudging and had one encounter in there, and we busted into the traditional first room of a Nethering dungeon, the stable, and we had a bit of a fight, not a desperate fight by any means. We got through that okay, but we did lose some health. And gained almost 100 XP, so what's that? That's a sixth of the way on to second level. And that's what it's all about. So I think that's not the worst way. And the combat hopefully introduced the idea of the enemy combat maneuver. So you're not just fighting to the death every time. In this case, we knocked the enemy off pretty quickly. But once the enemy gets stronger and starts taking a pounding but doesn't die, they a little bit of an AI, you might like to think of it if you want to get fancy about it, but just tables and numbers and stuff. It means that the enemy makes choices in battle and might not just attack all the time. They might do something clever instead. Alright, that's a bit of a Saturday night fun, all alone. But it was. Alright, thank you, and we'll catch you next time.